So hey guys, what's up? So I apologize for not being able to make a couple videos this weekend. This weekend was a tough weekend. I kind of wanted to tell y'all what happened so that you know. And I think, I know in the Facebook group, you guys might have been a little aggravated. I feel like I've sort of disappeared and not commenting much. I'm working on getting some of that merch done. I know you guys are kind of stoked to get something, and I appreciate you waiting for me to do something with my own brand. And I just need to explain to you what's going on and why I haven't been so available. So Thursday, this last week, after work, I get a call from my dad that your mom's not doing good, that she's been given a month to live. Now, if you know my dad, you realize that he doesn't want to burden or put anything on anyone, even his kids, so much so. And he is a big, tough, hard-working dude. And my mom had been dealing with this thing called suicide disease, also known as trigeminal neuralgia. It's to humans, it's the worst pain anyone can ever go through. So they have this thing similar, I guess, called cluster headaches. And cluster headaches might be several headaches a couple times a year. And they're really extreme. What my mom deals with is headaches a couple, maybe in 5 minutes. And she's been going through this for like over 10 years. I think it's like 12 years or something like that. And it's 12 years too long. To give you a basic understanding of what that's like, it's throughout the night she wakes up with these shocking pains. And like I said, they come often, very often. And she'll scream, blood curdling, top of lungs, screaming, and she'll ask my dad to shoot her. And my dad just cries. He's broken. This big, tough guy. Never missed a day of work in his life, even with a broken ankle. He's the type of guy that cut his work boot down both sides all the way to the sole and put it on with duct tape and continue to go to work to support the family. That's just the way he is. And he's dealt with this for like 12 years. So that's been going on, and that's been a major issue. There's like no pain stuff that really helps, unless it's maybe like a morphine or something that basically kills you, right? Because you're not going to do anything. And my mom never wanted to take that because she wanted to live some semblance of a life. So moving forward, had some high blood pressure. Medication never really worked for her. And long story short, ends up being kidney failure. So Thursday night, my dad says they've given her a month. They've taken her off dialysis because dialysis would work. And I know there's going to be questions of people saying, well, dude, you could have just done dialysis. She was on dialysis. But the problem is the dialysis was washing out whatever medication was helping her with this trigeminal neuralgia pain, the suicide disease pain. And my dad said every night it was just fearful. The screaming, that her begging him to shoot her, it was extreme. And still my dad would take it, but my mom couldn't. She couldn't. So she asked to be taken off dialysis and just go and just die. So they did. And they said, if your kidneys can work, maybe you have a little bit of a chance for a little longer. Well, she went downhill fast. They did a test and they gave her a month. So immediately when I hear this, now I have drama with my mama kind of deal, right? And I always felt like she was sort of dominant, real hard to get along with. A lot of you guys might have relationships with your mom or maybe even your dad like this. Never really happy with the choices or decisions you made. And we're just constantly bickering. And I'd like to say it, we'd go good for a little while and then have a big argument about something. And basically, I turned out just like my mom. And so anyway, Thursday, we decided to jump in the car right after I hear the news. So anyway, my dad says she's got about a month. And I decide, you know what, let me talk to mom. And I talked to mom and I asked her, which my dad didn't ask. I said, Mom, how much time do you have? And she said, I think I have maybe a couple days, 3, 4, 5 days, something like that. So I look at my wife, and this is not seeing my mom in a long time. And this is not even really talking to my mom much, because I had kind of written her off in my mind. And I told her that, and we had a big argument, I don't know, several months before. And I just welled up inside, and I said, you know what, honey, let's pack up. We're going to go. 13-hour drive from Round Rock to Tucson, Arizona. And so I drive out there, and the first day the meeting's awkward. My mom's barely kind of coherent, or she is coherent, and possibly, and I sort of took this at the time, that she was bitter, that there's a wedge driven between us that maybe was not going to loosen itself up on this trip, you know. So we knew she was dying, but it just seemed like I'm gonna ask my forgiveness of her, and I'm gonna try to make it feel right for my future, so that I don't live life in regret. And I've got a wonderful boss, and my boss was able to share some things with me about, Roman, don't be this tough guy. You know, you need to break down. You need to let this process happen with your mom, you know. And, you know, there in the back of my mind, I knew he was right. So anyhow, the second day, we get a hotel room that night. She likes it really warm because of this suicide disease. She likes it to be really warm, and we couldn't sleep, a whole family in the house, with the temperature of like 75. So we get a hotel room, we come back the next day, and now all of a sudden mom is a little different. She's able to look at me more. She seems a little more receptive to talking to me, but still not great. You know, we talk about things, and sometimes when I open my mouth, she kind of looks away. And it's sort of, this is my perception of it, right? So take that for what it's worth. And then second day goes mostly like that. And then the third day, we stay again. The third day, we come back again. And I should let you know at this point, we're having to pick her up to take her to bed, and then pick her up to bring her to the recliner in the living room, and then pick her up if she has to go to the bathroom. And she got down to about probably like 150, 160 pounds. I think on this third day, she was around 160 pounds, and she had dropped 100 pounds in like the matter of no time. She's not eating anything. She's not drinking anything. The most she's doing as far as fluids goes is maybe eating a little bit of crushed ice. And I'm talking like half a spoonful a couple times a day. So this third day, she's more talkative. Some of it's not making sense, and some of it's fading off or falling asleep or whatever. My dad tries to set up the hospice thing. Now, we were probably too late for this. And this is on a Sunday. And the hospice lady's like, okay, well, we're going to send someone out tomorrow. And I hear that on the phone, and I'm thinking, Dad, you and I almost dropped Mom in the hall. Like, we can barely manage, because she doesn't barely have the strength to even hold up her own head at this time. And I mean, my dad and I are just like, we're crying because we can't move Mom around. And I grab the phone from him. I take the phone, and I'm like, let me talk to him. And I tell these people at the hospice, and I say, listen, we're at the end. We can't do anything else. We can't move her around. It's not safe. And man, once the lady heard that, they got on it hard. 4 hours, we had a hospital bed, had medication. Mom was feeling better, and she sort of disappeared, right? Because that it sort of knocked her out. But then they have this thing where they talk about this energy burst that happens. And then it happened. My mom like snapped to. She started talking. She started talking about everything. She started having memories, and occasionally she'd say something funny. And I got to feel like how she felt about me and my life. I've never done any real hard drugs or anything, and I think I know now that she thought I had been. And it is what it is. At this point, I'm realizing that these things that I've harbored about my mom, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter when you're at that point. And a couple months back, she was trying to control me, and she was like, if you don't kind of see it my way, blah blah blah, you're not getting anything as far as retirement goes. And I'm like, look, I don't want your money. I just want us to be able to talk about our issues and lay it out all on the table, and just be able to talk about it. And she doesn't communicate the way I do, and I think the best we can do in life is to try to raise the bar for the next generation. My parents grew up with tough lives, and my life was much better than the way they grew up. And of course, I think my kids are growing up with a much better life. And I sort of think, it's my own personal belief, that reincarnation is probably true. The Bible talks about do unto the least of the kingdom as you'd have done unto yourself, something like that, not verbatim. And so I always think that, the way you are as a parent to your children, if you come back, you might be born to your own children, or you might be born to their children. And so you basically reap what you've sowed. If you haven't been a very good parent, maybe you're going to be born back to your own kids or grandkids, and you'll be in a situation where it comes back to you in a way. I just realized that these conversations are, to harbor these kind of angers about things just don't make sense at this point, because when you're seeing somebody on their deathbed, it doesn't matter, man. It just doesn't matter. So the third night, she gets this burst of energy, and she tells my dad, she goes, I've been saving money, and I want you to have it. I want you to have all of it. And it's my dad's still really healthy and probably going to live another 20 years. But I think my mom had been saving up some money for me and my brother. And it was around, I don't know, it was in the thousands. Not a huge amount, but nice. And she's like, I wanted you to have it, and I took that time to tell my mom without needing to hear it from her, like, you know what, I love you, and I'm sorry about all the bullshit I've said and done, and I've tried to change things. I tried to influence a change in the whole scene, and it was wrong of me. I can't do that. I can only do what I see changes, need to be made with my own family. I felt super guilty for the fact that, I'd been trying to heal things in a manner that was probably just not ever going to happen, and I should have never meddled with it. Well, we hugged each other, we cried. It was excellent. We had this for about an hour. We were all on the big California king-size bed, all of us talking to Mom, even my wife. It was an incredible bonding moment for everyone. My mom was different, she let down the shield. She, and I like to say it like this, as we all get accustomed to say, let's bury the hatchet, that we used to slash at each other with. And my mom and I, our whole life, would say we buried the hatchet, but in that, it was like bury the hatchet into a log, you're just hammering the blade down. And that night, we buried the whole handle You know, it was the whole handle. There's no more hatchet anymore. And it was just heavy. You know, I'm glad my boss had to talk with me that he talked, and I'm glad I drove the 13 hours, I mean the grueling 13-hour drive to get there. So that night, I go to sleep and I have a dream. And I see my mom, you know, at the high school age when she married my dad 52 years ago. She went to Okinawa with my dad as he was enlisting in the Air Force through basic training, and I see her about that age, and she's working on like a picture, like a shadow box. And my mom doesn't, obviously she doesn't see me. She doesn't know I'm there, and I'm just observing. And she's taking these dried flowers out of books, and like these dried, like, it kind of looked like wheat or something. And she's trying to use this glue and put these flowers down on this canvas. And she's getting frustrated, and she's getting aggravated, and because she's trying to make it look better. And so some of them are like getting gunked up with too much glue, and they're folding over, and then, you know, they're just not looking right, and her fingers are pulling pieces off, and she's aggravated. And in the process of her doing this, she's aging. And I'm seeing her like almost done with this picture. And she gets to the stage where she's old. She's old, like she's looking maybe a couple weeks before I got there. And she sort of clumps the rest down because her hands aren't working right. And she says, "See, honey," she looked at me. She said, "You don't know all the details, but I'm like the glue. I'm like the glue." And man, it was like a complete understanding that if my mom hadn't have done the things she'd done, that it was quite possible our family wouldn't have made it to the end together. And you know what? And that makes sense to me in my life. And I can see areas where her having tight reins kept the family together. And we probably wouldn't have stayed together our whole lives without mom. And I felt really, really guilty. Just because it wasn't my ideal picture. My mom was making it as good as she could. She was a tough lady. But she always had my back. Always. And she was outspoken about it. So, I just want to say, Mom, Dad, I love you. And you know what, guys? If you're in a situation like this, you don't want to miss that burst of energy moment when they come to with clarity. Be there for that. Be there for the process if you can. Because when they hauled the body out this morning, I was prepared for it. I was ready for it. And it felt good. It felt good because it's mom's free. She doesn't have to feel that pain anymore, you know? And she freed me from the guilt that I would feel the rest of my life. So, I don't know. Let those little things go. If you've got a relationship with a family member, or friend, or whatever, man, let it go, because it ends up affecting us in the end. I believe it does. So anyway, guys, that's where I've been. I appreciate your patience. And I love you. Take care. Bye. Why do they gotta put all the graffiti in here, you know? What a beautiful spot I'm standing in. This is out just outside of Tucson at a rest stop called Dragoon Road. Anyway, I gotta get back on the road. I got about 12 more hours, so take care, guys. This is a gnarly little hill right here. I don't know if I can get down this. Where's my kids? Where's my kids? There's my wife. Where's Phoenix? Where's Phoenix? There's my birdie. There's Mr. Seth. See this one right here? I'm gonna take better care of her. That's my goal. And these guys.